My name is Avery Carter. I am 36 years old. One ordinary afternoon last summer, when I still trusted my older sister completely, she convinced my 9-year-old niece to stay silent about everything she overheard to protect me from the family lies my older sister was spinning behind my back. That decision erased my role in our family and left me questioning everything I knew about who I was to them. Now, here I stood in the tense waiting room of a family counseling center in Boise, Idaho, with my niece Nora clutching my hand as the counselor asked her to speak for the first time in 6 years, and my older sister was about to walk in, expecting me to sign papers that would hand her full control over our shared family decisions forever. My stomach twisted as the pieces slammed together. I swore right then that no matter the cost, I would not let her silence me or my niece any longer. If you have ever felt your own voice stolen by someone who was supposed to love you, tell me in the comments what that moment felt like for you and what city you are watching from right now. I read every single one. That afternoon in the counseling center started out feeling routine enough. I had driven over after work from my job as a senior bookkeeper at a property management firm downtown, still wearing my plain blouse and slacks, thinking this was just another check-in session my older sister had insisted on for Nora. My older sister had always been the one who organized these things, the perfect organizer, the one everyone turned to when things needed handling. 9 years between us, but it had always felt like she was the one calling the shots while I followed along. I adored my niece, though. Even with her years of silence, we had built something real through quiet afternoons reading together and drawing pictures on my apartment balcony overlooking the foothills. My older sister had told everyone Nora was born with a rare condition that affected her speech, something neurological the doctors could not fix. I never questioned it. Why would I? She was my older sister, and mothers know their children best. I had moved back to Boise 3 years ago when our mom got sick with the slow kind of illness that takes everything. I wanted to help, wanted to be closer. During those months, I spent more time with Nora, bringing her books, sitting with her while she leaned against me, feeling her relax even without words. Our dad had passed 4 years before Mom heart issues, the quiet, steady type who fixed things without complaint. After he was gone, the family felt unmoored. When Mom finally passed 18 months ago, she left behind a trust worth $1,700,000, their life savings and everything. The terms required both my older sister and me to agree on major decisions. I thought it was fair. Now I wonder if Mom sensed something I missed. The counselor, Dr. Rachel Klein, had just settled us in the small room when my niece did the thing that changed everything. Nora was not reaching for her tablet or the picture cards we sometimes used. She was staring at me with those big, watchful eyes that seemed to take in more than any 9-year-old should. Then she opened her mouth and spoke clear and perfect, like she had been holding the words for years. "Auntie, do not drink anything my mom gives you. She planned something bad to make you look sick so everyone thinks you cannot handle things anymore." Her voice cracked on the last word, but it was real. My blood turned to ice. Let me back up about 3 hours, because you need to understand how I got here standing in that counseling office discovering my entire family story was built on a lie. That morning had started normal enough. Saturday coffee in my quiet apartment on the west side of Boise. I was actually enjoying the quiet when my phone rang. My older sister voice honey sweet, which should have been my first warning. She only used that tone when she wanted something arranged her way. "Avery, I have the biggest favor." She and my brother-in-law had booked this 4-day wellness retreat up in the mountains very last minute. Very romantic, she said. And they needed someone to watch Nora. Of course I said yes, because that is what I always did. I genuinely loved spending time with my niece. Even communicating without words was special. She had these eyes that absorbed everything. When I read to her, she would press close, and I could feel the tension leave her small shoulders. My older sister greeted me at her door with a quick hug, unusual for her. "You are a lifesaver, Avery." She looked polished, as always, hair done luggage by the door. My brother-in-law was loading the car and barely glanced my way, just a mumbled hello, looking sweaty and twitchy. My older sister walked me through the house like I had never been there. Here is the kitchen. Here is Nora's room. Then she opened the fridge and pulled out a large thermos with a blue lid. I made this herbal blend for you, she said, pressing it into my hands. For stress. You have been working too hard lately. Something about the way she said it felt off, too insistent. But I smiled and thanked her because that is what I did. The car honked. She hugged me again, 2 hugs in one day, definitely strange, and rushed out. I closed the door, turned around, and found Nora standing there with that intense stare. That was when she spoke for the first time in 6 years and warned me about the tea. I set the thermos down like it might explode. My hands shook. I sank to my knees so we were eye level. Nora, you can talk. She nodded, eyes huge but fierce. I always could, Auntie. Mommy made me stop. The room seemed to tilt. What do you mean made you stop? And that is when my 9-year-old niece told me the story that tore apart everything I thought I knew. Nora was not born with any condition. That was the lie. She talked like any toddler, said her first words, sang songs, asked questions. Then one afternoon when she was 4, she got thirsty and crept downstairs. My older sister was on the phone in the kitchen and did not see her. Nora heard words she did not fully understand, but some stuck. Avery out of the picture. When she is gone, then we get everything. She trusts me. She is so naive. The next day, innocent and confused, Nora asked her mother what out of the picture meant. My older sister's face went cold. She grabbed Nora's arms too hard and knelt down. If you ever speak again to anyone about anything, something terrible will happen to your auntie. Your voice is dangerous. Every word you say hurts her. If you love your auntie, you will never make another sound. Do you understand? Nora loved me. I was the auntie who brought books and never made her feel broken. So she stopped talking. 6 years of silence, 6 years of terror that her voice might hurt the person she loved most. My older sister took her to doctors, played the devoted mom, collected the selective mutism label, but told everyone it was neurological, nothing to be done. She made sure no one saw the real records. I was working in another city during the early years, flying back for holidays. I had no reason to doubt my older sister about her own daughter. I sat on the kitchen floor crying as this child explained the sacrifice she made. Being silent made her invisible. Adults talked freely around her. She saw my older sister practicing my signature on scrap paper. She heard phone calls about transferring control of the family decisions and the joint accounts. She watched my brother-in-law grow more afraid, agreeing to everything. 2 nights ago, Nora overheard the full plan from the top of the stairs. The tea will make her sick enough to miss the mediation. Not dangerous, just severe stomach issues and drowsiness. She will be out for 36 to 60 hours. While she is down, we drive to the lawyer in Salt Lake City. I have the forged papers ready. By the time she recovers, it is done. She will never prove anything. No wellness retreat, just a scheme to make me look unstable, forge my agreement, and push me out of every family decision so my older sister could control everything. I pulled Nora into my arms. You saved me, I whispered. She hugged back hard. I could not let Mommy hurt you anymore. I looked at the thermos. Evidence. My tears stopped and something cold settled in my chest. My older sister thought she had 4 days. She was wrong. The first call I made was to Mia Palmer. We met in college. She went into nursing. I went into bookkeeping. She answered on the second ring. Avery, what is going on? I need you here right now. Something happened, and I cannot explain over the phone. She came in 40 minutes still in scrubs. She took one look at my face and hugged me. Talk. So I did. The tea, the scheme, and Nora, who had spoken after 6 years to warn me. Mia looked at Nora. You are the bravest kid I have ever met. Then she got practical. That tea needs testing. I know someone at the lab. She gloved up and took a sample. While we waited, Mia asked what else we had. Nora led us to the home office and the locked drawer. Code is 0415, their anniversary. Of course. Inside were bank authorization forms with my signature that was close but not quite right. Bank statements showing $240,000 withdrawn in amounts just under $12,000 each time. Printed emails with the lawyer Logan Harper discussing emergency transfer of decision-making power and referencing my supposed instability. And a file labeled Avery, concerns with pages of notes in my older sister's handwriting describing my erratic behavior, depression, paranoid episodes, all fabrications. My older sister was building a case to paint me as unfit. Mia photographed everything. "This is premeditated," she said grimly. "She has been planning this for over a year." My accountant brain kicked in dates, patterns, the numbers that did not lie. Then Mia's phone buzzed. The lab results came back fast. A concentrated mix of a powerful laxative and sedative herb. Not lethal, but enough to knock someone out violently ill for 36 to 60 hours. Exactly what Nora said. My older sister was not trying to kill me. She just needed me out long enough to push the papers through and erase me from the family picture completely. I still had my emergency savings, $11,000 in a separate account no one knew about. It would fund the fight. There was one more call to make to Ethan Whitaker. We were in the same study group in college. He went into law and now worked as an assistant prosecutor here in Boise. I explained everything. He was quiet a long moment. "This is fraud, forgery, psychological abuse of a child, and attempted incapacitation. Serious. Very serious. What do I do? You let me handle the legal side. I will coordinate with local authorities. Keep pretending her plan is working. Do not let her know you are on to her." I looked at the thermos. I had to act sick. 3 days of performance. The performance of my life. Day 2, I sat in my older sister's living room staring at my phone. Nora was beside me, still watchful. I dialed my older sister. Voicemail. I made my voice weak and shaky. "My older sister, something is really wrong. I have been so sick all night. Throwing up dizzy. I think I need the hospital. Nora is okay. The neighbor Patricia Ellis can watch her if I have to go. I am so sorry to ruin your retreat." I hung up. My hands were steady. My heart was cold. 2 hours later, a text from my older sister. Not a call. Not asking which hospital, just, "Oh no. Feel better soon. Rest up." I stared at the message. My own sister might have tried to drug me, and her response was a single line. Mia read over my shoulder. She did not even ask about Nora. "Your older sister is something else." Over the next hours, Mia's husband, who works in IT, helped us check social media. My brother-in-law had location services on. He posted from a coffee shop in Salt Lake City. No mountains, no retreat. They were exactly where Nora said they would be. I went back to the drawer. There had to be more. I found letters at the bottom, handwritten from my older sister to our mom during her final months. My older sister demanded Mom change the family arrangements to cut me out. Avery is single. She does not have responsibilities like I do. I have a daughter. This is your chance to make it right. Mom's shaky reply was firm. "I will not punish Avery for being responsible. The arrangement stays equal. This discussion is over. I am disappointed in who you have become." Mom had seen the truth. Even dying, she protected me. Nora found me on the floor. "Those are from Grandma, yes." She sat beside me and took my hand. "Grandma told me something once. Watch your mama. Something is wrong in her heart." I think Grandma knew. That evening, Ethan called with updates. The authorities were moving. The sting was set for day 3 when my older sister and my brother-in-law walked into the lawyer's office. "Your job is to keep pretending." So I did. Day 2, text. "Still so sick. The doctor thinks maybe food poisoning. Nora is being wonderful." Day 3, text. "Barely keeping water down. Do not cut your trip short." Each message I sent, I pictured my older sister smiling, thinking her naive little sister was right where she wanted her. That same day, Ethan arranged for a child specialist to take Nora's statement, properly videotaped with a psychologist. Nora was nervous, but she sat up straight and used her voice. She told them everything, the threats when she was 4, the years of watching the night she overheard the tea plan. When it was over, she looked at me through the window. That is the most I have talked since I was 4. My voice is tired, but it feels good. Like I finally came up for air. One more day, I told her. Just one more day. She nodded. One more day. But as I watched the secure feed the next morning from my living room, Nora beside me and Mia on my other side, something felt wrong. My older sister and my brother-in-law walked into the lawyer Logan Harper's office looking too confident. The detectives were waiting. The signatures did not match. The lab results were on the table. Then they played Nora's recording. My older sister froze. That is not possible. She cannot talk. She has been silent for 6 years. This is fabricated. The detective's voice was quiet. You just confirmed you believed your daughter could not speak, but the real records show selective mutism caused by trauma. You terrorized her into silence. That is psychological abuse on top of everything else. My older sister's mask cracked. She was supposed to stay quiet. My brother-in-law turned on her fast. I want a lawyer. I will cooperate. She planned it all. The signatures, the tea. I was scared of her. My older sister turned on him with pure fury. You pathetic coward. The detective stood. You are under arrest. But as the handcuffs clicked, I saw my older sister's eyes flick toward the camera feed like she knew I was watching. A small smile, like she still had one card left. My phone buzzed in my lap with a text from an unknown number. We are not finished, little sister. You think you won? Wait until the court hears my side about how unstable you really are. Nora squeezed my hand tighter. The room felt smaller. I realized then that even with the arrest coming, my older sister had already set the next trap, and this time the cost might be more than I could pay. The text lit up my screen again before I could even process the first one. Same unknown number. You always were the gullible one, Avery. Nora's recording changes nothing. I have years of doctor notes proving she was never normal. The court will see who the real unstable one is. My heart slammed against my ribs as I stared at those words. On the video feed, my older sister was still in the lawyer's office, handcuffs clicking shut, but her eyes kept darting toward the camera like she knew exactly where I was watching from. My brother-in-law Caleb was already spilling everything to the detective's voice shaking, offering to testify against her for a deal. Yet somehow, my older sister looked almost calm, like this was just another move in a game she had been playing longer than I realized. I squeezed Nora's hand back, trying to keep my voice steady for her sake. It is going to be okay, sweetheart. But inside, I felt the ground shifting. Mia Palmer leaned closer on my other side, her scrub still smelling like hospital antiseptic. That text is a threat, Avery. We need to document it right now. She grabbed her phone and started recording the screen. Dr. Rachel Klein, who had stepped into the room the moment the feed went live, watched with a tight expression. As the counselor who had been working with Nora for months, she had already seen enough red flags to write a full report on the psychological harm. But even she looked uneasy. Your older sister is not going down without dragging everyone with her. We should call Ethan Whitaker immediately and get protective orders in place before she makes bail. Before I could answer, my phone rang. It was Olivia Morgan, my colleague from the property management firm. She had been the one covering my shifts while I dealt with all this family mess, and I had confided just enough the day before to keep her in the loop without details. Avery, I just got a weird call from someone claiming to be your older sister's attorney. They are asking for your work records, saying you have been missing deadlines and showing signs of emotional instability. Something about a family trust dispute and how it is affecting your performance. I told them to go through HR, but it sounded like they were building a case. My stomach dropped. My older sister had already started the next wave using my job as leverage. Olivia's voice softened. Whatever is happening, I have your back. I logged every extra hour you covered for me last year. No one here believes a word of it. The next morning, I called my boss at the firm and explained I needed emergency leave. He was understanding, but I could hear the doubt creeping in after Olivia's warning about the attorney's call. By afternoon, The first social media post appeared from one of my older sister's old friends, a vague but pointed story about how some families have one sister who is always causing drama and another who quietly carries everything. It was shared in a local Boise moms group. Comments poured in. I recognized a few names from church events my older sister dragged us to years ago. The isolation was starting exactly like my older sister planned. Nora and I spent the day at Dr. Rachel Klein's office for another session. The counselor pulled me aside while Nora drew pictures in the next room. Your niece is making incredible progress, but the fear is still there. She keeps asking if talking will make you lose the house or the trust money. I nodded throat tight. My older sister had planted that seed deep. Later that evening, Ethan Whitaker came by with paperwork. We have a strong case for temporary custody, but your older sister's attorney is pushing hard on the mental health angle. They want a psych evaluation for you. I laughed bitterly. Of course they do, because the real problem was never the forged signatures or the drug tea. It was always about control, about my older sister making sure I stayed in my place as the younger sister who never questioned anything. The hearing was scheduled for the following afternoon. I barely slept replaying every memory where my older sister had stepped in to fix things, only now seeing the strings attached. The next morning, Olivia Morgan showed up at my door with coffee and a folder. I pulled some strings at work. Here are performance reviews from the last 2 years. All positive. No missed deadlines. If they try to use your job against you, we fight back. Her support felt like the only solid ground left. But as we drove to the courthouse, my phone buzzed again. Unknown number. My older sister's voice this time recorded and sent as a message. You think you are saving Nora. You are stealing her from the only mother she has ever known. When this is over, everyone will know what kind of person you really are, Avery. The message ended with a soft laugh that sent chills down my spine. Inside the courtroom, the air felt thick. My older sister was there in a crisp blouse, looking every bit the concerned mother, my brother-in-law sitting 2 seats away with his lawyer. The judge listened as Ethan laid out the evidence, the forged documents, the lab report. Nora's testimony played on a small speaker, her young voice filling the room and making even the bailiff shift uncomfortably. My older sister's attorney countered smoothly, presenting her file of notes about my supposed instability, claiming the tea was just a stress remedy gone wrong, and that Nora's silence had always been medical. Then he called my older sister to speak. She stood eyes soft and pleading. I only ever wanted what was best for my family. Avery has always struggled with responsibility. This is breaking my heart. Her words landed like a slap. But the real blow came when the judge paused the proceedings and asked for a private sidebar. When he returned, he ruled that Nora would stay with me temporarily, but a full custody evaluation was required within 30 days. And because of the serious allegations on both sides, all trust decisions were frozen until further notice. My older sister smiled across the room, small and satisfied. She had not won yet, but she had not lost either. As we left the courthouse, Nora whispered, I do not want to go back, Auntie. But the look on my older sister's face as she walked past us told me she was already planning the next round. And this time, she would make sure the cost of fighting her would be more than just money or paperwork. It might be the one thing I could not afford to lose. The look on my older sister's face as she walked past us in the courthouse hallway told me she was already planning the next round. We drove home in silence at first, Nora's small hand still gripping mine in the passenger seat. My niece had started talking more freely in the last few days, but the fear never fully left her eyes. She finally spoke as we pulled into my apartment complex. Auntie Mommy looked at me like I betrayed her. Did I do something wrong? My heart cracked. No, sweetheart. You did the bravest thing anyone could, but I could not shake the dread. My older sister had initiated every single blow so far, and she was not finished. That evening, my phone rang while I was making Nora pancakes for dinner. Unknown number again. I answered on speaker so Mia Palmer could listen from the couch. My older sister's voice came through honey-sweet but laced with venom. Avery, I hope you are enjoying playing hero with my daughter. You always did love stealing the spotlight, didn't you? The way she said it carried years of resentment, like I had been a burden she tolerated only because our parents forced her to. I stayed quiet. She continued sharper now. The court will see the real you soon enough. I have statements from 3 different doctors about Nora's condition long before you stuck your nose in. And do not think your little job is safe. I made a call to your boss this afternoon. Professional courtesy, of course. Families should not hide instability. My stomach twisted. She had gone straight for my livelihood, the one thing I had built without her help. Olivia Morgan texted me 10 minutes later. Avery, your older sister's attorney, just emailed HR demanding your performance file. They are claiming emotional distress affecting your work. I pushed back hard, but the partners are nervous about any family drama spilling into the office. I am sorry. The support from my colleague felt real, yet the pressure was mounting exactly as my older sister intended. Nora overheard and whispered, "Mommy used to practice your handwriting at night. She said you were too weak to handle the family stuff." I hugged her tight, but inside I felt the walls closing in. The next morning, Dr. Rachel Klein called me in for an emergency session with Nora. The counselor looked exhausted when we arrived. Your older sister filed a motion overnight asking for immediate reunification therapy. She is framing you as the one who manipulated Nora into speaking. Nora sat in the big chair, feet swinging, and spoke clearly for the first time in front of the doctor about something new. Daddy was scared of Mommy too. He told me once that if I ever talked, Mommy would make sure we all lost the house and the money Grandma left. He said it was better to stay quiet. Dr. Klein's pen stopped. That adds coercive control over your brother-in-law as well. But the twist hit harder when Ethan Whitaker joined us by video. The charges against my older sister were being reduced in a plea deal because the judge wanted to keep the family intact. Fraud and forgery would likely become misdemeanors. The psychological abuse case against Nora was stronger. But my older sister's attorney was already leaking stories to local parent groups about how I had coerced a traumatized child for financial gain. I felt the noose tightening. 3 days later, we were back in court for the full temporary custody hearing. My older sister sat across from me looking polished and wronged. She initiated the attack the moment the judge allowed statements. Avery has always resented me for having a child and a stable life. She never wanted responsibility, and now she is using Nora to punish me. Her voice dripped false concern, but the sarcasm underneath cut deep. You think you are saving her? You are just repeating what our mother did, favoring the weak one. I sat there stunned, the physical shock hitting me like cold water. My hands trembled under the table. Nora squeezed my arm, but my older sister kept going, eyes locked on mine. The trust money was meant for the family member who actually builds something, not the one who runs away to an apartment and plays auntie when it suits her. Ethan fought back with the evidence, but the judge, the same one from before, looked sympathetic to parental rights. He ruled that Nora would remain with me for now, but my older sister would get supervised visitation twice a week, starting immediately. The trust decision stayed frozen, but he ordered mediation between us within 2 weeks. My older sister smiled again as we left the same small, satisfied curve. This is not over, little sister. You will see how quickly people turn when they hear the full story. The following week became a blur of tension. Olivia Morgan pulled me aside at work one afternoon. The partners want you to take a short leave while this settles. It is not punishment, but the emails from your older sister's side are making clients ask questions. I felt the job I loved, slipping away another piece my older sister had chipped at until it cracked. Mia Palmer stayed over again that night, helping Nora with homework while I stared at the ceiling. My niece had started singing softly in the shower, tiny fragments of songs she had held inside for 6 years, but every happy moment felt borrowed. The mediation session was the breaking point. My older sister arrived with my brother-in-law, who refused to meet my eyes. She spoke first, calm and cutting. Avery, I am willing to drop the mental health claims if you agree to joint decision-making on the trust and let Nora spend every other weekend with us. No more court, no more dragging our family name through the mud. But the way she said it carried the old threat. Her eyes flicked to Nora. Think about what is best for her, not your pride. Dr. Rachel Klein sat in as observer and later pulled me aside. Your older sister is still exerting control. Nora is improving with you, but the back and forth is wearing her down. If you fight this to the end, it could take years and cost Nora her stability. That night, I sat on the balcony with Nora under the Boise stars. She leaned against me, voice soft. I like living with you, Auntie, but Mommy says if I stay here forever, she will make sure you lose everything. I realized then what the painful choice really was. I could keep fighting, drag Nora through more hearings, risk losing my job completely, and maybe still lose the trust share in the end. Or I could make the sacrifice that protected the one person who mattered most. The next morning I called Ethan. Tell them I will agree to the joint mediation terms on the trust and supervised visitation schedule. But Nora stays with me during the school year. No full custody battle. He was quiet a long moment. Avery, you know she will still control half the decisions. I know. But Nora has already lost 6 years. I will not make her lose more just so I can win. The agreement was signed 2 days later. My older sister got her partial victory, keeping influence over the family money and regular access to Nora. The fraud charges were dropped to community service. My brother-in-law quietly moved out and filed for separation, but that was small comfort. I kept my niece most of the time, but the trust decisions now required my older sister's approval for anything major. Olivia Morgan helped me transition to part-time at work to avoid any further drama. Dr. Rachel Klein continued sessions and Mia Palmer checked in weekly. Yet every time my older sister dropped Nora off, she delivered one last jab, always initiated by her. You see Avery families work when everyone knows their place? I smiled for Nora's sake, but inside the regret settled heavy. I chose myself in the only way that mattered, protecting my niece from endless war, but the cost was real. My older sister remained the one with the power, the one who could still smile and call the shots. I lost the full independence I thought I had earned. Some nights, I still wonder if I gave up too much. Nora's laughter fills my apartment, now bright and unbroken. But the silence my older sister forced on her for 6 years taught me that the loudest control is the quiet kind that never fully goes away. This story still hurts to tell because I thought family was supposed to lift you up, not hold you under until you stop fighting. In the end, I learned the hardest lesson of all. Sometimes protecting the people you love means accepting that the person who hurt you keeps walking away stronger while you carry the weight of what you had to surrender just to breathe freely again. Thank you for listening to my story. If you have ever faced a choice where winning meant losing everything that mattered, tell me in the comments what you decided and how it changed you. I read every single one, and your stories remind me I am not alone.